Hello everybody, my name is Fia Dialysa. I'm from Management, Ekuitas School of Business, Bandung, Indonesia, 2023. Let me explain about my research. The title is The Impact of Pandemic, Implementation of New Normal on Non-Performing Credit and Profitability of Bank Group 4. Introduction. The world is faced with the problem of the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which until now has not ended. Coronavirus disease 2019 has significantly changed the world economy and economic growth in the country. Since the pandemic occurred, the economic level in Indonesia at quarter 1st 2020 has reached 2.97%. In quarter 2nd 2020, minus 5.32%. The realization of Indonesia's economic growth of minus 5.32% was the lowest since the 1919 crisis. Economic growth in quarter 2nd was much lower than in quarter 1st due to the impact of the large-scale social destruction or PSBB policy. In June 2020, the government is trying to implement a new normal. OJK issued a regulation. It is hopefully that people's income will grow again and increase their ability to credit or finance. Since March 2020, banks do not need to set aside reserve for their affected debtors. The aim is to avoid the bank's non-performing loan while at the same time reducing the cost of reserve that need to be established. One of the impacts of the pandemic on the banking industry is an increase in non-performing loans and a decline in performance. The study wants to compare the ratio of non-performing loans or financing or NPL and banking profitability or ROA in Indonesia before and after the COVID-19 pandemic and the implementation of the new normal. Literature review. A pandemic is a global scale of disease spread throughout all over the world. COVID-19 stands for Corona CO, virus VI, disease D, and 2019. The four banks of KBMI4 are the PT Bank Mandiri, PT Bank Rakyat Indonesia or BRI, PT Bank Sentral Asia or BCA, and PT Bank Negara Indonesia or BNI, which has core capital of more than 70 trillion rupiah. By Kashmir 2014, risk is a condition and situation that will be faced in the future, which will greatly affect the bank's profit. The large number of loans distributors must also pay attention to credit quality. The higher the quality of credit that is given or is appropriate for disbursement, the lower the risk of the possibility that credit is in trouble. Return on assets or ROA is an indicator of how profitable a company is relative to its total assets. It is a profitability ratio that measures the net profit generated by total assets during a period by dividing net income by average total assets. ROA reflects the bank's management ability to manage its assets to generate profit by Munawir 2018. Now I will explain about my methodology research. The type of this research is comparative and aims to compare the risk profile and profitability of banks at KBMI4 before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and the new normal. The data is secondary data, namely KBMI4 Bank Quarterly Financial Report data for 2019 until 2021. Data collection technique using documentation and literature studies by Sugiono 2017. Data analysis techniques use research instrument tests and paired sample with different tests as descriptive analysis. The research instrument test use the Shapiro-Wilk normality test. The paired sample different test uses the one-way ANOVA test, which is a comparative test used to differentiate. The research population is 4 banks at KBMI4. Data sources come from official bank websites in Indonesia and the Indonesian Stock Exchange website. The entire population was used as a research sample, namely bank included in KBMI4, of course, is Bank BCA, Bank BNI, Bank BRI, and Bank Mandiri. The mean or average of data for more than two groups. This is my hypothesis put forward, include first, HO first, there was no difference in bank NPL and ROA before the COVID-19 pandemic. And then HA first, there were differences in bank NPL and ROA before the COVID-19 pandemic. And then also HO2, there is no difference in bank NPL and ROA during the COVID-19 pandemic. HA2, there was differences in bank NPL and ROA during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the end is the last one is HO3. There is no difference in the bank's NPL and ROA when implementing the new normal. And then HA3, there are differences in the bank's NPL and ROA when implementing the new normal. And this is my discussion and also the conclusion in the end. So the discussion is talking about the banks samples show the highest or the banks with the worst loans. Namely, the first is BCA and the second is Mandiri, the third position BRI and the fourth is BNI. This has happened because some debtors experienced cash flow problems before the pandemic. So when the pandemic occurred, the debtors' cash flow was increasingly disrupted and developed into bad loans. Apart from that, another cause was a slowdown in bank lending because the capital adequacy ratio became very limited due to the government's credit restricting policy due to the coronavirus outbreak affecting all economic sectors, especially MSMEs. I have my data from the website of OJK, of course. And then the second discussion is talking about a ROA or return on asset. The ROA before the COVID-19 pandemic with the order of banks with the highest percentage of profit decline or unfavorable conditions. Namely, the first is Mandiri, the second is BRI, the third is BNI, and the fourth is BCA. This is because during the COVID-19 pandemic, interest income is decreased. So the credit risk was higher and the banks did not want to encourage credit because they feared it would worsen bank performance in the future. So the emergence of provisioning expenses, acknowledgement of expenses on restructuring debtors, and a decrease in the potential for new debtors to increase credit also exacerbated the ROA ratio. So this strategy is adopted by the banks is to increase efficiency in all fields, increase fee-based income, maintain loan portfolios, monitor credit strictly, continue to provide loans selectively, and also the postpone plans for opening offices to reduce the need for HR training. I also take the data from the website of OJK, of course. So now we are talking about the implementation of the new normal situation. In the new normal situation, the NPLs of the four banks experience is a significant decrease, with the order of the highest decline or good condition. Namely, first is BRI, second is BNI, the third is BCA, and the fourth is Mandiri. A decrease of NPL can means a decrease in non-performing loans. This is because the macroeconomic situation has improved. Bank interest rates are not too high and the bank's reserve of funds have the increase. So now for the ROA in the new normal situation, the order of banks from the best condition, the first is Bank Mandiri, the second is BRI, the third is BNI, and the last is BCA. This can be happen because this fluctuating ROA ratio can be due to the volume of transactions that have returned to increase post-pandemic in various banking channels, such as ATMs, mobile banking, and internet banking. This is the source journal from Yusgantoro 2018. And then the result of my discussion is the descriptive statistics show the minimum value of NPL is 0.50 and the ROA is 0.90. The maximum value of NPL is 3.28 and the ROA is 3.50. Now, the last but not least, my conclusion is based on the research results. Several conclusions can be drawn, namely, there was differences in NPL and ROA before the COVID-19 pandemic. And the second is there was no difference in NPL and ROA during the COVID-19 pandemic, and there was no difference in NPL and ROA in the new normal. Banking at KBMU4 tends to be stable in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we know whether there will be other pandemics or other macro conditions that will affect banking performance in the future. Therefore, it is hoped that the banks at KBMU4 always improve their performance, be more up-to-date in finance technology or fintech, further strengthen the capital side, and expand cooperation with other parties nationally and internationally. That's all for my presentation of my research. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.